everyone. For today's lesson, we'll talk about the basics of Korean phonetics. If you're not familiar with the preliminaries, this lesson will be tough for you to follow. So if you haven't checked on KGTL 1.1, please review it first and then come back to this lesson. Here's the table of contents. Consonants in Korean can be classified into the following three categories: plain consonants, aspirated consonants, and tense consonants. These three classes of consonants can be categorized in relation to two features they carry, namely the spread of glottis and tenseness. Note that only plain consonants have negative value in both features. By contrast, aspirated and tense consonants contrast with each other in terms of their proper features. Therefore, in a way, we can assume that plain consonants serve as the base of the two non-plain consonants. That is, if we tweak one of the two binary values from plain consonants, we can derive either aspirated or tense consonants. When the glottis is spread, the sound involves harsh bursts of airflow, as in aspirated bilabial plosive. You can hear this sound in English word hat. The superscript H indicates that the consonant is aspirated. When a consonant is plus tense, the constriction between articulators and the vocal folds are more intense, as in tense bilabial plosive B. You can hear this sound in Korean word 뺄셈, meaning subtraction. Figuratively speaking, the tense consonant sounds are produced in a way somewhat similar to a finger snap. You cannot make a clear finger snap sound when the constriction is weak and loose, but you can do so with a strong and tight constriction. The two vertical line subscript indicates that the consonant in question is tense. Before we explore Korean consonants in detail, the difference between the coda and onset plosives should be mentioned. In Korean, coda plosives are not fully released. Figuratively speaking, the sound is as if time stopped at the very beginning of a sprint. The unreleased sound is marked with the left angle superscript. On the other hand, the onset is a fully released sound. It is like running in a full motion. If you are not familiar with these ideas, then go review KGTL 111. Before we look into Korean consonants, the concept of natural class has to be mentioned. Natural class is a group of sounds that share the same set of phonetic properties and also have similar phonological behaviors. For example, consonants and vowels each form distinct natural classes characterized by the features minus syllabic and plus sonorant plus syllabic, respectively. There are 11 plain consonants in Korean, which fall under the categories of plosive, affricate, fricative, nasal, and liquid. These consonants can be classified into 4 natural classes. Remind that plain consonants serve as the base of aspirated and tense consonants, as we've discussed in KGTL 1.1. Plosives and affricates form a natural class called Occlusive Obstruents. The naming has to be accompanied by further details of phonetics, so it will be discussed in the advanced section. You can roughly approximate the meaning occlusive here as non-fricative. For characteristic traits of occlusive obstruents, only plain occlusive obstruents have both aspirated and tense minimal pairs. As you can see in the example below, unlike occlusive obstruents, none of the fricatives have both aspirated and tense pair. Plain occlusive obstruents are voiceless by default. However, they become voiced when they occur in between vowel sounds. This phenomena is also exclusive to occlusive obstruents when compared to other consonants. For example, in the Korean word jumoni, meaning pocket, the affricate is voiceless, whereas in ajumoni, meaning ma'am, the affricate becomes voiced because it appears in between vowel sounds, namely a and u. If you're not familiar with voicing, please review KGTL 113. Note that some references may claim that voicing occurs in between not only vowels but also sonorants. This intersonorant context will be discussed in the advanced section. With respect to the plosives, each plosive is realized as an unreleased allophone when they appear as coda. For example, the onset piyup is fully released, whereas the coda piyup is unreleased in the Korean word pop, meaning meal or cooked rice. You can also find similar examples such as in the English word popcorn, which has both aspirated onset P and unreleased coda P. On the contrary, the affricate lacks coda allophone. If an affricate phoneme appears as a coda, it is replaced by a certain phone. This phonological phenomena will be discussed in KGTL 1.3. Now let's compare Korean occlusive obstruents with their English counterparts. Piyup in Korean are similar to the English P sound as in spin, tap, And when voiced, it is similar to the English B sound as in about. Digut is similar to the T sound as in stop, get, and when voiced, it is similar to the D sound as in leather. Yug is similar to the K sound as in skill, scotch, and when voiced, it is similar to the G sound as in ego. Note that voiceless plosives in English and Korean do not sound identical. Korean plosives sound more lax than the English ones. Therefore, it falls somewhere in between voiced and voiceless plosives in English. As to jiut, Korean words 자주 meaning often and jeju meaning talent demonstrate the sound. Note that these sounds have no English counterpart. The approximate is voiced post-alveolar affricate, which can be heard in English words such as judge, jail, June, joke, etc. The place of articulation in Korean is slightly more forward when compared to the English approximate. The next is fricatives. Unlike occlusive obstruents, fricatives are always voiceless. So even if they occur in between vowels, they still remain voiceless. In other words, they lack voiced allophones unlike occlusive obstruents. As mentioned in the previous chapter, the alveolar fricative has a single tense pair and lacks an aspirated pair, unlike occlusive obstruents. However, along with the affricate, fricatives cannot be realized as a phone in the coda. They must be replaced by other phones. One notable characteristic of fricatives is being the only natural class that has complementary allophones which change only in place of articulation, while retaining voicing and manner of articulation. Especially the glottal fricative hit has 4 different complementary allophones. There are 2 complementary allophones of shiot: voiceless alveolar fricative and voiceless alveolar palatal fricative, which English doesn't have. In many cases, the phoneme is realized as voiceless alveolar fricative, and you can hear the same sound in English words such as dance, class, miss, etc. With respect to the letter, you can make this sound by raising your tongue towards the back a bit while pronouncing the alveolar. For example, it can be found in words like 시간, which means time in Korean, and shower, which is a loan word for the English word shower. Note that the English approximate is voiceless post-alveolar fricative, also known as ash. You can hear this sound in English words such as shadow, shower, show, shuffle, etc. Meanwhile, there is a phonological rule that pertains to these 2 different realizations, and this will be discussed in the advanced section. The other fricative is hiut, which has 4 different complementary allophones. The first allophone is a voiceless glottal fricative. You can hear this sound in the English word hot and the Korean word 하늘, which means sky. The second allophone is a voiceless palatal fricative, which can be heard in the English word human and the Korean word 휴식, meaning rest or recess. The third one is a velar fricative, which can be found in the German loanword Bach and the corresponding Korean loanword 바흐. The difference is that in the Korean word, the fricative appears in the onset of the second syllable rather in the coda of the first syllable. The last one is a voiceless labial velar fricative, which adds lip rounding to the voiceless velar fricative. That is, even though there is no English counterpart to this allophone, you can approximate this by rounding your lips while pronouncing the voiceless velar fricative. The realization rule for the phoneme HID will be also discussed in the advanced section. There are three nasal sounds in Korean, namely bilabial, alveolar, and velar nasals. Note that this 3/4 distinction parallels with the plosives in terms of place of articulation. Specifically, yip and mim are bilabials, digut and niun are alveolars, and kiok and iung are velars. As a sonorant, nasals are always voiced in Korean. On the contrary to the occlusive obstruents, nasals other than iung sound the same whether they appear as coda or onset, or they are in between vowels or not. The distinctive property of nasals in Korean is that unlike other consonants, they lack any allophones. Especially, they are always released whether they appear as onset or coda, contrary to plosives. Also, note that the phoneme iung denotes empty sound in the onset, but a voiced velar nasal in the coda. In other words, iung functions as a phone only when it is in the coda, whereas it merely serves as a placeholder for a vowel otherwise. Let's take a look at the examples. The bilabial nasal sound can be found in the onset of English words like man, mother, moon, etc. The alveolar nasal sound can be found in the onset of English words like nut, none, niece, etc. The velar nasal sound can be found in the coda of English words like sing, hang, etc. The last group is liquids. Along with nasals, liquids are always voiced in Korean, as they are both sonorant consonants. There is only one liquid phoneme in Korean, namely 리을, which is realized as two complementary allophones, the voiced alveolar flap and the voiced alveolar lateral. 리을 is realized as voiced alveolar flap when appearing in the onset. The sound corresponds to the double T sound in English words such as battery, butter, etc. On the other hand, 리을 is realized as a voiced alveolar lateral in the coda. The phone can be heard in English words such as lip, leaf, etc. Note that in English, the lateral in the coda is velarized, whereas the Korean counterpart isn't. The velarized L is often called as dark L, in contrast to the plain one as light L. The difference is that the back of the tongue is raised towards the velum when the alveolar lateral is velarized. You can hear the dark L sound in English words such as full, ball, and so on. However, there is a case where the onset leer is realized as an alveolar lateral rather than alveolar flap. This will be discussed in the advanced section. Now we've covered all plain consonants in Korean. Note that we can regroup these plain consonants in terms of phonetic features. This will be also discussed in the advanced section. The change from plain to aspirated accompanies a spread glottis, which means a burst of airflow comes out with the speech sound. As mentioned earlier in this lesson, only occlusive obstruents have an aspirated pairing. Note that unlike plain consonants, aspirated stops always remain voiceless. Also, aspirated plosives cannot be realized as a phone in the coda. They are subject to a phonological rule which will be discussed in KGTL 1.3. So in this lesson, we'll only review aspirated consonants in the onset. You can hear the aspirated bilabial plosive in English words such as positive, full, purse, page, etc. The aspirated alveolar plosive in toast, tent, tooth, table, etc. And the aspirated velar plosive in cheek, hat, etc. Note that English lacks aspirated alveolo-palatal affricate. For example, you can find chiut in Korean words like cha, meaning car, tea, etc., and cho, meaning candle or second as to time, and so on. The English approximate for this phone is aspirated post-alveolar affricate. The phone appears in English words such as chair, chess, choice, church, etc. As mentioned before in this lesson, alveolar palatal affricate places the tongue slightly more forward than the post-alveolar affricate. As illustrated in the earlier part, tense consonants are derived by making constriction between the pertinent articulators and the vocal folds tight and intense, releasing the tension almost simultaneously like a finger snap. Along with aspirated consonants, tense consonants are always voiceless and cannot be realized as a phone in the coda. Yet, unlike aspirated consonants, the plain alveolar fricative has its tense pairing. Here's the full list of tense consonants. Note that unlike Korean, English lacks the tense consonants. 쌍비읍 can be heard in Korean words such as 뼈, meaning bone, and 빼다, a verb meaning pull out or subtract, etc. 쌍디귿 in Korean words like 딸 meaning daughter, 때 meaning time, moment, etc. 쌍기역 in Korean words such as 깨 meaning sesame and 꾸미다, a verb meaning to decorate. As English lacks plain alveolo-palatal affricate, we can easily predict that English also lacks tense alveolo-palatal affricate. The tense affricate can be heard in Korean words such as 짜다, meaning salty or to squeeze, and 짜증, meaning annoyance or stress, etc. Unlike tense occlusive obstruents, the tense fricative phoneme has allophones in the onset. Tense alveolar fricative can also be found in English words such as sense, some, song, salt, etc. However, English lacks tense alveolo-palatal fricative, and this phone can be heard in Korean words like 씨 or 씨앗, meaning seed. Korean vowels can be classified into two categories: monophthongs and diphthongs. As you can infer from the names, monophthongs are vowels composed of a single vowel sound, whereas diphthongs are glide vowels formed by two different vowels within a single syllable. Therefore, monophthongs can be construed as building blocks for diphthongs. Here are some noteworthy remarks for Korean monophthongs. There are 8 monophthongs in Korean, including close back unrounded vowel U, which English lacks. In terms of pronunciation, open mid-front unrounded vowel 에, as in the English word bed, and close mid-front unrounded vowel 에, as in the English word say, are almost indistinguishable in modern Korean. Strictly speaking, the tongue is located more to the front and higher in the letter than the former one. Native Korean speakers distinguish these particular vowel sounds by the shape of alphabets. The formal is labeled as A-I, since the alphabet looks like combining these two vowels, and similarly the letter as O-I. At this point, if you are unclear with these phonetic terms, I suggest you to review KGTL 11322. Let's review the IPA chart for vowels we've checked in the previous lesson. These 8 vowels comprise monophthongs in Korean. We can categorize these monophthongs under the phonetic features, namely openness, backness, and rounding. A is a near open central unrounded vowel. Note that English uses open front unrounded vowel, not this one. O is an open mid back unrounded vowel. Note that the English open mid back unrounded vowel is centralized, as in an English word cup. O is a close mid back rounded vowel. There is no exact English counterpart to this monophthong, since it always appears in a diphthong, such as in go, etc. U is a close back rounded vowel, and you can also hear this sound in an English word such as food. E is a close front unrounded vowel, which can be found in a Korean word such as 시간, meaning time. There is no exact English counterpart, since English has only long, close front unrounded vowel as in the verb see, or lacks close front unrounded vowel as in the verb sit. As mentioned before, the close back unrounded vowel U is absent in English. You can hear the vowel in Korean words such as 음식, meaning food, or 음악, meaning music. You can pronounce U by gradually loosening the lip rounding when pronouncing the close back rounded vowel U, since these two sounds differ only in the roundness. E is an open mid front unrounded vowel, which can be also found in an English word such as bed. Don't forget that in modern Korean, open mid front unrounded and close mid front unrounded are not distinguishable in a colloquial speech. E is a close mid front unrounded vowel, which can be found in a Korean word like 세계, meaning world. There is no exact English counterpart for this vowel, since the vowel appears only in diphthongs such as stay, haste, etc. Note that we can categorize these monophthongs under certain phonetic features that pertain to various phonological changes. This will be discussed in the advanced section. As for general remarks, there are 13 diphthongs in Korean. Diphthongs can be subclassified into 6 J-Diphthongs, 6 W-Diphthongs, and the diphthong 의. In terms of notation, diphthong characters are formed by combining two different monophthongs, except for the close back unrounded vowel U. Taking into account that there are 8 monophthongs that can be used to compose a diphthong, we can assume that there should have been more than 13 diphthongs given their possible combinations. This means that there is a constraint that prevents certain combinations of the monophthongs. This topic will be discussed in the advanced section. J-diphthongs are formed by combining the monophthong E and the following 6 monophthongs, except for U and E itself. Note that you can pronounce J-diphthongs by gliding from the monophthong E to the other 6 monophthongs. If you pronounce the consecutive vowels gradually faster and faster, you'll find that the resulting vowel is their pertinent J-diphthong. Now here's the full list of J-Diphthongs and its English counterpart or approximate. The open central front unrounded ya can be heard in yacht, yahoo, etc. The open mid central unrounded yo can be heard in yawn, yearning, etc. The close mid back rounded yo can be heard in yogurt, yolk, etc. The close back rounded u can be heard in utopia, use, etc. The open mid front unrounded ye can be heard in yesterday, yet, etc. Remind that this phoneme is typically pronounced as a close mid front unrounded vowel, which English lacks. The close mid front unrounded ye is absent in English. You can pronounce this diphthong by slightly raising and fronting the tongue compared to the open mid front unrounded diphthong. Before going over W-Diphthongs, we need to take a look at the concept called vowel harmony. Simply put, vowel harmony is a constraint that forces vowels to combine or collocate with a vowel within the same harmonic group. There are three groups for vowels, namely positive, negative, and neutral groups. Note that these labels do not reflect any value judgment. In other words, the same as electric charge, the positive and negative do not imply good or bad. A noteworthy property of W-Diphthongs is that they consist of monophthongs in accordance with vowel harmony. Rounded monophthong o and u each serve as the basis of positive and negative W-Diphthongs. Specifically, three positive W-Diphthongs are based on the positive monophthong o, and three other negative W-Diphthongs are based on the negative monophthong u. Note that the pronunciation of we is often indistinguishable with we in modern Korean. Now let's look over examples with English counterparts or approximates. The approximate of diphthong wa can be heard in the English words such as waffle. Remind that English doesn't have a near-open central unrounded vowel and uses open back unrounded vowel instead. The diphthong wo can be found in the English word wonder. The diphthong we can be found in the English word weather. As mentioned several times before, note that the open mid front unrounded vowel is replaced by the close mid front unrounded vowel in modern Korean. The diphthong we can be found in the English word way. However, note that in English, the close front unrounded vowel always appears in a diphthong. So there is no exact counterpart for this Korean W-Diphthong in English. Moreover, there is no exact English counterpart for the diphthong we. You can find this diphthong in a Korean word such as chamue, meaning Korean melon. However, along with the positive diphthong we, this diphthong's pronunciation is generally replaced by that of the negative diphthong we. The diphthong we can be heard in the English word weekend. The diphthong 의 is the only diphthong that doesn't fall under both J and W diphthongs. Since English lacks the close back unrounded vowel U, there is also no English counterpart for diphthong. When the diphthong appears in the word final position across the morpheme boundary, the phoneme is realized as E, a close front unrounded vowel. For example, the diphthong in the Korean word meaning democracy is pronounced as 민주주의, not 민주주의. By contrast, the diphthong is pronounced as 의 elsewhere. You can hear this vowel sound in Korean words such as 의자, meaning chair, or 의사, meaning doctor. Note that in the Korean word 의, meaning significance, meaning, value, etc., is pronounced as 의 according to the phoneme realization rules. By the way, there is one more possible allophone of this diphthong, and this will be discussed in the advanced section. Here's the summary of today's lesson. watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.